Snow White, budget $250 million, box office $43 million. Oh, but it's only been 2 days, give it a chance. No, I'm not gonna give it a chance. I'm not even talking about that number. Because like all the flops are unsurprising at this point. Something is going on behind the scenes with almost every major animation, video game, and movie studio that they're doing this intentionally or something. I don't f***ing know. I'm not even gonna talk about this. People are like, oh wow, Snow White flopped. Who is surprised? You cast arguably the least genuine, most out of touch, and disliked person in her industry, and her industry is Hollywood. And the bad guy is Gal Gadot.
I never want it to come off as me being ungrateful for the opportunities I have. I can also be having the greatest time and simultaneously wishing people would stop sending me death threats.
The day everyone thought could never come has arrived. Disney's once beloved live-action Snow White is allegedly getting yanked from theaters, and the blame is landing squarely on Rachel Zegler's shoulders. People are pointing fingers, claiming her over-the-top commentary and brash attitude buried any chance at box office success. Now, the internet is buzzing with news of Rachel blowing up on a heated Instagram Live.
The day everyone thought I could never come has arrived. Disney's once beloved live-action, Snow White, is allegedly getting yanked from theaters, and the blame is landing squarely on Rachel Zegler's shoulders. People are pointing fingers, claiming her over-the-top commentary and brash attitude buried any chance at box office success. Now the internet is buzzing with news of Rachel blowing up on a heated Instagram Live.
When the winged victory came to the Louvre in pieces, and people still line up to see her. And I can only hope that despite my flaws, and despite my cracks and my breaks, and there are many of them, that at every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
Lashing out at critics and fans and creating a media storm that's shaking Hollywood to its core. Yes, you heard that right. Rachel Zegler lost it for everyone to see. And she's not holding back. Let's rip right into how this fiasco unfolded and why so many folks feel Rachel is the one who triggered this entire meltdown. Word spread faster than a wildfire. Disney had allegedly decided to pull Snow White from theaters one day. The movie listing vanished in certain regions. Ticket availability dropped and rumors started swirling all over social media. Hardcore Disney fans took to Twitter, spamming hashtags and demanding answers.
And very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Yeah. Weird. So we didn't do that.
People were shocked because this project was hyped for months as a major success in the making. Yet the uproar pointed to one glaring scapegoat: Rachel Zegler herself. To angry posts, Rachel's blunt remarks about the original Snow White being outdated rubbed fans the wrong way. She had previously shared thoughts on how the original storyline needed to be more modern, more empowered, and less 1950s mindset. But critics claim she insulted the classic fairy tale and ridiculed its fanbase. Suddenly, the rumor mills pinned the flick's flop on her big mouth, saying fans boycotted the film in protest as soon as the rumor about the film's removal took off.
Here are the nominees for Best Visual Effects.
Social media detectives started digging. They uncovered past interviews where Rachel's scathing criticisms of the animated classic seemed to overshadow any excitement she had for the remake. Sure enough, screenshots and video clips emerged, fueling the story.
Hey guys, I watched Snow White, so you don't have to. Let's get into it. Now, first things first, Snow White gets her name not from the fairness of her skin, as we obviously know Rachel Zegler would be a miscast in that sense. Instead, she gets her name from surviving a snowstorm. Her father and mother are king and queen to a utopian communist society. I'm not joking, guys. Everybody shares and is mindful of what each person is getting, and we spread our resources evenly, which is where this idea of fairness, as Snow White is the fairest of them all, is really presented in the film.
Rachel's negative comments alienated diehard Disney faithful. After that, Snow White's sales reportedly plummeted. But that wasn't the whole story. This controversy didn't pop out of thin air. Rachel Zegler didn't just appear in Hollywood overnight. She earned her spot by stunning everyone with her vocals and performance in West Side Story, proving that new blood can shine bright on the big screen. She was on magazine covers, headlining interviews, and praised as the next big thing in Tinseltown. Critics adored her. Fans initially welcomed her with open arms. However, the moment she started discussing the beloved Snow White fairy tale, the atmosphere changed. Audiences weren't prepared to hear a newcomer slam the decades-old classic as stale or irrelevant. Even though the behind-the-scenes team pitched it as a modern retelling, many felt Rachel's words came off as self-important, like she was the authority on reinventing a cherished children's story. Some folks also dug up older moments where Rachel, known for being outspoken, whether it was about social issues or film criticisms, she often spoke candidly on Twitter and Instagram. That candor garnered both fans and haters. People admired her confidence, but it also ignited feuds with more traditional Disney followers who expected a gentler approach. All those previous bumps in her public image formed a solid foundation for the perfect storm. So when Snow White faced a sudden downfall, observers were quick to assume Rachel's name was behind the scenes, stirring the pot. And what happened next would shock everyone. Before the meltdown on Instagram Live, insiders whispered that Disney's upper management was livid. Initial box office projections for Snow White were already looking shaky, especially given the overshadowing success of other major releases this year. Executives apparently pressed the panic button, demanding a massive marketing revamp to salvage the film's reputation. But the marketing push was too little, too late. The unstoppable wave of internet outrage had already started rolling some Snow White budget. Disney got extremely worried about Rachel's personal interviews and social media presence. If any lead actress's remarks spark a negative fan reaction, it's typically the studio's job to step in or smooth it over. But in this instance, people claim the damage was too far gone. Public perception hardened quickly. If the star herself didn't respect the movie, why should audiences, despite the studio's best attempts? The numbers purportedly dropped. Disney's executives saw the writing on the wall. The film was hemorrhaging money in theaters. Online critics hammered away at every detail from the creative changes to Rachel's alleged arrogance. So Disney, according to rumor, made a drastic move. Pulled the film from additional theaters sooner than planned. That alone unleashed a swirl of speculation, with many concluding it's a direct condemnation of Rachel's involvement. Then the meltdown. Rumors exploded, and it was only the beginning. Suddenly, Rachel Zegler appeared on Instagram Live looking tense, eyes wide, voice shaky, and obviously furious. What started as a regular Q&A session with fans apparently turned into a scalding rant. Allegedly, a comment popped up, blaming her for ruining Snow White. And Rachel didn't shrug it off. Instead, she went off like a lit fuse. She railed about the unfairness of being singled out for a creative decision made by an entire team. She blasted toxic trolls who refused to embrace a modern perspective on old stories. Viewers said she went after critics by name, calling them petty and small-minded. She insisted she was proud of the film's reimagining and refused to apologize for her outspoken opinions. But she also grew visibly upset, referencing the mountain of blame she's been carrying for the movie's alleged flop. Some watchers described her tone as confrontational, even mocking. She reportedly scoffed at certain fan questions and doubled down on her claim that the original Snow White was antiquated beyond belief. Clips from that heated live session spread like wildfire across Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube. Instantly, fans argued whether Rachel was valiantly standing up for her vision or simply throwing gasoline on a raging fire. The real bombshell was the defiant nature of her rant. No apologies, no backtracking. Just pure frustration, with those holding her responsible. And that's when the internet frenzy reached a fever pitch. People demanded to know how Disney would respond. Some said it was a bold move that they admired, while others called it career suicide in real time. Little did anyone know more revelations were about to hit. While Rachel was making headlines for her public explosion, onlookers speculated about how her co-star Gal Gadot felt. The famed actress, known for playing fierce roles, has had her share of controversies, but nothing on this level recently. Word is that Gal tried to keep a low profile, not wanting to be sucked into the fiasco. Some rumors say she advised Rachel behind the scenes to play it cool. Others claim Gal wanted to distance herself, focusing on her own brand image rather than diving into a no-win social media battle. Meanwhile, Hollywood chatter indicates that other Disney alumni watched the meltdown from a safe distance. There's talk that certain established stars, those who have navigated public backlash in the past, were unimpressed by how Rachel handled the negativity. Some even privately criticized her for lacking the level-headed approach needed to handle controversy. The real stinger A-listers who once championed Rachel's rapid rise seemed hesitant to comment, now fueling speculation that they saw her meltdown as damaging to all parties involved. Still, there are corners of the industry that admire her fearless approach. They see it as an artist refusing to bend under pressure. The question remains, would that rebellious attitude cost her future roles? But the avalanche of rumors didn't slow down yet. Social media turned into a war zone. On one side, you had fans who praised Rachel's direct stance, nodding along cheering her for telling detractors to stay in their lane. They believed she was championing a reimagined Disney heroine and that the audience needed to evolve with the times. For them, Rachel's meltdown was an understandable response to nasty attacks and personal jabs. On the other side, a tsunami of Disney purists, conservative critics, and folks who simply disliked Rachel's attitude raged against her memes, popped up depicting her as the wrongful princess with witty captions, accusing her of destroying a timeless masterpiece. Hashtags like "None Not My Snow White" trended, featuring fans venting their disappointment in the new storyline and in Rachel's condemnation of the classic The Blame Game escalated to absurd degrees, with some insisting that the movie failed strictly because of Rachel's negative comments. Others argued that the modern retelling simply wasn't entertaining enough to lure audiences. But the loudest voices singled Rachel out as the main culprit. Over and over, people hammered home how an actress is supposed to elevate a project, not bury it under personal opinions. Then the discourse got vicious. Trolls targeted Rachel with personal insults, while her defenders labeled her critics as bullies. Threads erupted with name-calling and fiery tangents that overshadowed the actual film. Everyone seemed to forget about the original message of Snow White altogether, focusing purely on controversy. And still, there were more layers to peel back. In the midst of the uproar, fresh rumors sprouted like weeds. Insiders purported that Disney executives tried to muzzle Rachel after her first few inflammatory interviews but failed. The creative team behind the film allegedly had countless meetings about shifting the marketing strategy. They even considered limiting Rachel's press interactions to prevent more explosive quotes. There's also talk that the production itself had tensions from the start. Some claimed that the project had to do multiple reshoots to fix storyline issues that test audiences despised. Rachel's passion for updating the story reportedly clashed with traditional Disney creative heads who wanted to preserve some of the fairy tale's charm. That friction might have spilled out into the final product, resulting in a jarring mix that satisfied neither old-school fans nor new audiences. Meanwhile, critics pointed to the timing. With a barrage of big movies dominating the box office, Snow White might have been overshadowed regardless, but the narrative that Rachel's loud commentary sealed its fate was too tempting for rumor mongers to resist. They latched on to every sharp line from her IG Live, every snippet from her old interviews, and every hint of tension with Disney. Still, the real kicker was the speculation about her future. Would she be blacklisted from big roles? Would Disney quietly sever ties with her, or would she bounce back with some flashy new project that transforms her public image yet again? But the final fallout was the hardest blow of all. After Rachel's meltdown and the alleged pulling of Snow White, mainstream media outlets gobbled up the story. Tabloids plastered Rachel's pictures on front pages with sensational headlines about her unhinged rant and Hollywood's biggest meltdown. Pundits debated whether this spelled doom for her rising stardom. Others argued she would survive thanks to her undeniable talent.